The Spurs are finally doing their job and trying to give the keys to Victor Wembanyama because he is their future. And right now, recently, his last 10 games has been nothing short of amazing. He started out the season a little bit here and there, not consistent. And it really comes down to his teammates and him not having the keys to the offense. Because when Greg Popovich first got him, he saw the potential, but he understood that it takes time. And it does take time, and it takes a lot of learning. And Victor Wembanyama seems to be the character, seems to be the guy that takes his time as well, and actually is a student of the game, that loves the game, and is taking this extremely serious. Sometimes we see rookies, I'm not going to say who, but we see rookies, if you're on the Charlotte Hornets, who, you're here for a good time and not really for a long time. And, you can get paid off of your rookie contract and probably get a couple extensions here and there, but you're not necessarily a winning player. But if you're Victor Wembanyama, you see that reports are saying that he doesn't even answer the phone after like 8 p.m. He's very meticulous when it comes to his workout routine. He's a very flexible person. He actually tries to build on muscle. He's not trying to be the lengthy, skinny guy that will always be lanky their whole careers and get debilitating injuries because they have not filled out their frame. He is consistently trying to be the best iteration he possibly can be. And when I see the San Antonio Spurs not give him the ball when he is a giraffe on the court, quite literally, you put his hands up in the air and he is probably 2 inches away from dunking it. And they're not giving him the ball when he has a mismatch on a fast break or just simply off of just switching. And you're having guys take random threes, step back threes, try to drive around Victor Wembanyama instead of actually giving him the ball. Is one of the most frustrating things that you can actually see and watch if you're a fan of the talent that is Victor Wembanyama, because they need to give this guy the ball like mass. His offensive game is still there to be developed. He still needs to develop his offensive game. But because he is such a great off-ball player and able to get to his spots, able to get to where he needs to be more efficient, he is one of the best glue players you can have on your team, a person you can kind of just really put anywhere. And he has learned to somewhat fit in this offense, which is still a mixed match of players who are probably going to be in the league, probably not going to be in the league, depending on, if they're not going to stay on this team, they're probably going to be moved around. The future of the Spurs outside of Victor Wembanyama is really left up in the air. How long is Greg Popovich going to be on this team? Who's even going to be on this team from a couple years from now? Not even like 4 or 5, but like 1 to 2. What is going to be the makeup of this team? What is the identity of this team? Because even with Victor being the head honcho right now, the one star, the one shining star that the San Antonio Spurs have, outside of him, can you really even determine what is the identity of the team? Who is the team? You have Jeremy Sochan, who, I like him, but he's not the person that I would want to be a glue player for my franchise, a player that I really want to continue to build around. And there's not really many other players on the team that I see. Now, there are hoopers on the team, and listen, everybody is talented on the Spurs, just like anybody is talented on any NBA roster. But it takes more than talent. It takes cohesion. It takes keeping everything together as a unit. And there's a lot of mistakes that they make, especially on defense, that thankfully that they have, the 7-foot whatever phenom in the paint. Victor Wembanyama is out there snatching blocks, snatching boards, doing everything that the team needs to be, and making up the mistakes that a lot of their smaller guards tend to make. And this is where I really want to highlight the best facet of Victor Wembanyama's game, and that is his defense. His defense is phenomenal. It's not just so much the able to get blocks, but it's actually how he gets the blocks, how he positions himself to be in the help side defense, to quickly get there, even if he's not there already, to quickly get there and erase shots off the board and not swat it out of bounds, but tap it so that he can be able to get the board and then pass up the ball, and then we have a fast break. Those are the IQ moments that when you look at a lot of players in the NBA, they simply just do not have. A lot of players like to spike the ball, which is always great. But if you have the opportunity to keep the ball in bounds and give your team a better opportunity to score off of your defensive prowess, then that's what you should do. Now, many rookies don't have that mentality, and I understand that it's really difficult to kind of mold yourself into that because spiking the ball is very fun. Everybody loves doing it. But what is the most efficient way of getting blocks? And Victor Wembanyama does that every single time. And that is what's really astonishing when you have a rookie who has had professional experience for a good portion of his career, come over to the NBA and show really no drop off. A lot of people was very worried when he, first was playing in the summer games, and he didn't really look the best. He was a little bit all over the place, disjointed, not necessarily with the flow of the offense. And I will put this more in the sense that, he didn't really play that much before he got on the team to play in the summer league. But, once he actually starts to get a little bit more reps into him, you can see that he's starting to fill out his game and fill out his role. There still is a lot, like I said before, that he can work on. And the number one thing, in my opinion, is his three-point shooting. But even with his three-point shooting, he's shooting around 32% for the season. Now, 32% is just a below league average. But it's not bad. It is good enough for them to respect you on the three. And we all understand the effects of players not feeling confident in their shot and how not being able to shoot with confidence really inhibits their game and really inhibits their flow of trying to fit within the offense. Now, if you're in a different system and you are actually, programmed to do a 45 cut whenever there's somebody going to the paint, so you're not just simply sitting on the three-point line, then that's different. But we have seen cases like Draymond Green, where if you're not confident in your shot, it can really take you out your game. And even if he doesn't become a league average three-point shooter, being able to consistently be, around it, right, and have the defense kind of suction up to you because your gravity is stretching the defense to be as top heavy as they possibly can, that leaves a lot of potential. Now, these last few games, Victor Wembanyama has been on a tear, and that is simply because he has just been getting the ball more. I think Greg Popovich has, pretty much had a whole highlight tape of people not passing him the ball. He's 7 foot whatever, and you guys aren't passing him the ball, and he's now getting the ball. He's now more involved in the offense. But it's really not just that. I think one thing that we have to really take into account is the ability to want to do better. And I feel like there are players, not just rookies, who kind of just play to play, but they're not actually getting better year after year. And when you look at a person who's very early in his career, you're starting to see that, okay, cool, this guy has the right mentality, because it takes a very special someone to be active not only on defense, but also on offense. He has had multiple games where he has averaged 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, 5 steals. And that's just in the last 10 games. And like everybody has been saying, this is the worst that Victor is going to be in his career. God willing that he doesn't get injured, and we all hope that San Antonio takes care of him. They have had, a little bit up and down when you think about Kawhi Leonard and how that process kind of went. If they take care of Victor Wembanyama, I think he'll be fine. I think especially with his way that he prepares for the game and the way that he is very meticulous on mobility, ankle stiffening exercises, flexibility. These are all markings of great players and how to take care of your body. And he's doing everything right. Now, outside of the extracurriculars, there are a few things that I think in his game that he can improve on. Probably not so much this season, but he will improve on hopefully as time goes on. And that is his playmaking. He's not necessarily the greatest passer. He can get teammates open and then a kick out, but it really comes down to what type of playmaker are you going to be? Are you going to be a pass-first playmaker, or are you going to be a score, then pass playmaker? And that's basically two types of players, and I'll give you an example. Whether you're going to be a Chris Paul trying to get teammates involved immediately, or let's say a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander where you're trying to score, and based on what the defense does, you kick out to whoever's on the wing or whoever's on the corner or whatever. And trying to figure out what you are, especially in a system where the Spurs are kind of all over the place, is going to be a very difficult thing for him to do. And it's definitely going to be something that takes a long time, especially for him, to kind of get together, because it really comes down to how much involvement do you want Victor to be in the offense? Do you want him to be a person that kind of be the heliocentric, the person that handles the ball the whole time, the person that, he has to get the touches at the top of the key, or has at least 12 seconds, 10 to 12 seconds with the ball every single possession? What is the player that you want him to be? In my opinion, I think he's kind of like an off-ball / on-ball hybrid, where he doesn't need to have the ball, he doesn't need to dominate possession of the ball, but because of his gravity and because of his skill set, everything will kind of revolve around him anyway. And I think that's where Greg Popovich is trying to lean Victor Wembanyama towards. But the issue is the team sucks. And we all know that the team sucks, and there's really no ifs and buts about it. This is something that Greg Popovich, in my opinion, has been an utter failure for the last couple of years, really ever since Kawhi Leonard left. And, they tried to get like a nice little hodgepodge of a team with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, who was, feigning in terms of his health. But this is really a crucial aspect to the Spurs where you have to think about the future, right? And right now, they have not shown a good track record of trying to get players to, one, stay on the team for a very considerable amount of time, but also, two, develop them to somebody's, right? Derek White developed to be a pretty good role player, but he's not on the team anymore. Jacob Poeltl is all right. You had a few other players as well. Like, they're not necessarily great when it comes to building up players, unfortunately. But with a case like Victor Wembanyama, he has the opportunity and the ability to change not only the face of that franchise, but change the face of the NBA. Because the way that he leads by example is something that is awe-inspiring and that reminds you of the greats.